स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। So today we are going to start the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It's the chapter which deals with meditation, the yoga of meditation, dhyana yoga. So in the 6th chapter, we will be studying in details the yoga of meditation, which was presented in aphorism form, in just an aphoristic manner, in the 27th and in the 28th verse of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So when we were studying that, we have already mentioned that these two are the verses which will be expounded in the entire 6th chapter. So what was those two verses? Just we go through it as a recapitulation. The 27th and the 28th verse of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Sparshan kritva bahirvayangs chakshuschaivantare bhruvo pranapanau samau kritva nasabhyantaracharino. This is the 27th. And the 28th. Yatendriya mano viddhir munir moksha parayanah vigatecha bhayakrodha yah sada mukta evasa. So you'll find that the entire process of meditation has been aphoristically enunciated in these two verses. That sparshan kritva bahir bayan, by severing your contact with the external sense object. So that speaks of pratyahara. In the 8 limbs of yoga, we will find pratyahara is one of the limbs, where it speaks of pratyahara. What's pratyahara means? Ahara means to gather in. It's not only the food, what we are gathering in through our eyes, what we are gathering in through our ears, what we are gathering through our nose as smell, through our tongue as taste, and through our skin as touch. So these all are aharana. So aharate iti ahara. Whatever we are gathering in. Shankaracharya gives a very broad explanation of ahara. It's not just the food. All these 5 senses, which we are constantly gathering in through the senses, is ahara. So here they are saying, what's the word? Pratyahara. One of the words. Pratyahara. It is just the opposite of ahara. I stop my interaction with the world. That's the very first step of yoga. So that's been spoken of as sparshan kritva bahir bhayan, and then comes dharana. You have to fix your mind either on some part of the body or on some object of the meditation, or you can combine both of them. Like you meditate on the heart, that is a part of your body, but not only on the heart. Think the Ishta, the chosen form of deity, has illumined your heart. It is sitting there. He is not just a mere image. He is lively. He is living. And he is not just made of flesh and bones. He is made of light. He is illumining your heart. So these all visualizations. So dharana speaks of fixing. After you stop your interaction with the external world, now you fix your mind either in some object of meditation or in some part of body, or you combine both of them to have a much more profound effect. So here they are speaking of this chakshushchaivantare bhruvo. So as if between the eyebrows. So it is very difficult to really concentrate there. Just to fix your entire concentration there is very difficult. So what actually it means that neither close your eyes completely nor keep it wide open. If it is half closed, naturally you will find the focus gets centered in the between in the near the nose, in the not exactly in the eyebrow, just a below, means in between the two, in the reach of the nose, there your vision automatically gets fixed. So the eyeballs shouldn't be moving. The movement of the eyeball speaks of distraction of the mind. So keep the mind fixed. As we were indicating in the last class, this body and mind are very much interrelated. Very much interrelated. You will find when your mind is restless, it is almost impossible to sit in one place quietly. It will make you restless. You will be moving around. So we can take the help of as we know that they are interrelated, they are geared up. So when my mind is restless, if somehow I force myself to sit quietly, no, I won't allow myself to move around. Let me just sit quietly without any movement. You will find the mind also is getting calmed down. As we were indicating, the relation between the mind and the body is just like water in a cup. If you move the cup, the water also moves. If you keep the cup just motionless, all the movement of water will stop within no time. The water also will become still. In meditation, you will find that when you sit for meditation, it's very important that all the movements of the body should be stopped. Your body should be still. It shouldn't be stiff. It should be relaxed. But at the same time, there shouldn't be any movement. This is very important. As if you read the life of Sri Ramakrishna, you will find that it's indicated that when he used to sit for meditation, he used to visualize that all his joints are getting knotted. Someone is as if locking all the joints so that he becomes almost immovable. He becomes just like an inert object. So that's the point. So in dharana, so when you still your body and keep your attention fixed to either a part of the body or to some object of meditation, or you can combine both. That's been indicated as dharana in the second phase of this sloka. This chakshush chaivantare bhruvo prana panam samo kritva. Prana apana. Breathing in, breathing out. Samo kritva. There should be rhythm within that. And nasa bhyantara charino. Sometimes we find that when we say that slow, gentle, rhythmic breathing, people won't understand. Sometimes they don't realize what actually it means. You'll find that a lot of noise is there. Like that. So that will exhaust us. We can never continue our meditation with that type of very strong breathing. So what this word nasabhyantara means, this is very important. That breathe in, feel the breath in the nose. The moment you don't feel the breath passing through the nose, stop there. You will find that if you go on breathing, for some time you do feel the breath as if passing through the nose. After that, your ribs start, your lungs starts expanding, but you don't feel the air passing through the nose. So that speaks of too much exertion. Don't go for that. It should be gentle. And again, while breathing out, the same thing. Feel the breath in your nose. While breathing in, feel the breath in your nose. When you're no more feeling it, stop there. When you're breathing out, feel the breath in your nose. The moment you're not feeling the breath in your nose, stop there. And the rhythmic breathing should go on. This will settle down the mind. Again, the same reason. You will find that the mind and the breath, just the way the mind and the body is riveted, similarly the mind and the breath are also riveted. When we are restless, when my mind is very much disturbed, we will find our breath becomes shallow and it is very irregular. We may breathe in and suddenly we may stop breathing for some time. Again we may breathe out. So this irregularity is found something obvious when our mind is restless. So as we told, these two are riveted. That in the last class we were giving an example that when we are cycling, the moment we move the paddle, the wheel also automatically moves because they are riveted, they are geared up. But now if the chain has fallen, you will find that what they do, that's after fixing they will move the wheel to just test whether the chain has got connected to the rivets of the gear correctly or not, and you will find when you move the wheel, the paddle also is moving, and that gives you the certainty that yes, it has been perfectly riveted. So what it speaks, as they are riveted, though generally we use the paddle to move the wheel, but if for any reason whatsoever we move the wheel, the paddle also will move. So that's the same thing with our mind and the body, mind and the breath. So when I'm restless, I know my breath is automatically bound to be shallow, irregular. What I do now to calm down my mind as the breath and the mind are riveted, let me consciously with a resolution try to have a very regular, gentle breath. Breathing in, breathing out, gently, rhythmically. And you will find it helps. The mind also gradually gets calmed down. So these are the preparations for meditation. Keep the body fixed, relaxed, go on having a very rhythmic, soft breathing, and keep your mind fixed. That's the dharana in part of your body, and stop your interaction with the world. And then yatendriya manobuddhi munir moksha parayana. Yata indriya mano buddhi. So you have to control your indriya, the senses, and mana, the mind, and the buddhi. That result, that once I have fixed my resolution in the object of meditation, it shouldn't waver. Keep it fixed there. And this munir moksha parayana. This muni means mananshila. So once you have fixed your the attention to a particular object of meditation or part of your body, just don't simply do that mindfulness. Mindfulness is good. It helps to calm down the mind. But to make the meditation more intense, you have to be mananshila, munir. Go on contemplating on the idea that I am the self, or I am a devotee of God, whatever as per your temperament. So there should be some positive thought, flow of positive thought going on. That's the idea of muni. Muni is mananshila. He is constantly cogitating on the truth of the scriptures. And moksha parayana. This speaks of yearning, mumukshutvam. That there should be tremendous urge. When I sit for meditation, that I should sit with that resolution that here in this body, in this life itself, I am going to attain liberation. It's not that that just I'm sitting for meditation as it is my part of my routine. No, I have to sit there with a firm resolution. As in the last class we were indicating, when Buddha sat for his meditation, just before his illumination, he sat with that resolution. Ihasane shushyute me shariram. That let my body dry off in this asana where I am sitting. Let all my flesh and bones, pralayam cha jati, they disintegrate. But till I attain the bodhi, nirvana, I am not going to get up from this sit. With this strong resolution, he sat for his final meditation, which took him to that illumination. And this is the sloka which the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, they kept it always displayed in the wall, in the room, the dormitory where they used to stay, so that it keeps their resolution fixed to that idea that we have to attain our spiritual illumination in this very life, in this sitting for meditation. The moment I sit for meditation with that resolution, I have to attain something. So that speaks of mumukshutvam. mumukshata. So so now you will find all the aspects of meditation has been spoken of in these two aphorisms. And then what happens? If you succeed, then what happens? Vigat ichha bhaya krodha. This bhaya krodha, from where this bhaya and krodha comes? So when I am attached to this body-mind complex, all the bhaya krodha comes from there. If I know that I am the self, there is no annihilation for me. I was, I am, I will be, I am the eternal self. The more I am attuned to my real nature, the question of fear doesn't come. As in the second chapter we were reading, that nothing can burn me, nothing can dry me. There's nothing of this world has any effect on the real me. I am the eternal soul. So the more you are attuned to your real nature, where the question of fear comes. The fear comes when I get identified with my body-mind complex. Then the question of fear comes. Krodha, anger comes. Why anger comes? Anger is the result of desire. That when I think myself as a limited body, to sustain this, I need so many things. That speaks of the desire. And when there is an obstruction in the process of getting the things which I need, krodha, the rage comes. So all this speaks of what? The crystallization of our ego. The more crystallized our ego is, the more is our ignorance, the more we are bewildered by the polarities of life, which comes in the dualities of life, which comes in the form of sukha dukkha, happiness and misery. The more we are attuned to the self, we become a spectator. Everything goes on. That spirituality doesn't mean the suffering will vanish. It's a very wrong way of approaching spirituality. Most of us approach spirituality with that idea that as I'm a devotee of God, God is there to bless me with all the so-called good things of life. The suffering will fall off. That's never going to happen. We all understand that, but still we try to keep our eyes closed. Where is an instance of a single person that who has not gone through that process of jara, vyadhi, mrityu, as Buddha experienced when he came out from his kingdom? There is jara, old age, vyadhi, disease, mrityu, death. No one can save us from that. However we may think that by going and praying to God, I will be leading an eternal happy life here. It's impossible. Happiness is there in my real self, not here. It's a flow. So I have to go through this process. But if I am attuned to myself, then I transcend that. I can see that this is a flow. Nature gives me everything at a certain point of time. It is bound to take away everything at a certain point of time. But I am not bothered with that. I am the eternal self, witnessing from behind the flow. Just like a procession it's going on, I'm just observing. It doesn't affect me. Then what happens? You become vigata ichha bhaya krodha. Ichha is the desire. When something obstructs my desire, bhaya and krodha comes. Bhaya krodha speaks of fight and flight response. Ichha speaks of all our obsessions. These are the things which was constantly guiding our life. Either we are obsessed with certain thing, or we respond to the unfavorable things of life with a fight and flight response. So ichha bhaya krodha speaks of that. One who has transcended his idea of limited individuality, has got attuned to the self, he goes beyond this ichha bhaya krodha, which in the Yoga Sutra has been spoken of as raga, dvesha, abhinivesha. Is beyond that. No attachment, no hatred, no fear. And then such a person, sada mukta, he is liberated. So that's the beauty of the Vedanta, the beauty of the Hindu scriptures. They never speak of liberation as a post-mortem state, that after your death, you attain liberation, you go to heaven. They say here itself. While in this body, while living, you can attain the peace of that, the eternal peace, tranquility, the joy of liberation. Jivan mukti sukha prapti hetave janma dharana. The only purpose of birth as a human being is to enjoy the bliss of liberation while living. Jivan mukti. When you are living that in that state of this embodied being, you enjoy the state of liberation. That's the idea in Vedanta, and that's been spoken of here. Yes, sada eva muktasa. He is always free. In whatever state he may be, he is always free because he has transcended the dualities of life. So these are the two verses, the 27th and the 28th verse of the 5th chapter, which are like aphorisms. This will be explained throughout the 6th chapter in Bhagavad Gita. So, but at the same time, we should remind you again and again, the 27th and 28th, those speak of Dhyana Yoga. The 29th, the last verse spoke of that through meditation, when you reach yourself, what you realize, that it is the same self which has become the world. So in Bhagavad Gita, one thing we should remember, that there are many commentaries that speaks that Karma Yoga is just a preparation. Through Karma Yoga, through action, you attain Chitta Shuddhi. You attain the purification of your mind. And then when your mind is purified, you enter into a state of meditation, and then actions falls off. This was the interpretation of Bhagavad Gita for thousands of years. What it led to? You'll find in the name of meditation, we were pretending that we are sattvic, but we were extremely tamasic. The entire nation entered into laziness. In India, if you go, it went into a state of torpidity, laziness. They were feigning, oh, I have renounced the world. But actually they were extremely tamasic, dull, insipid, have no any energy for any type of action. So if we don't understand Bhagavad Gita in its correct sense, then that's the mistake which we have made for thousands of years and which we are going to make even now. In the name of religion, I find even here itself, there are so many hard-hearted person, leaves his family and just say, oh, I have that, what is the urge for spirituality, and goes and staying somewhere and just to meditate. If you go and ask him, have you attained something? It's very difficult. Have you attained something? You cannot run away from life. This spirituality is not just like a bunker to just hide ourselves. It gives us a proper paradigm to face the life, the challenges of life. Bhagavad Gita also is that. If you take the ultimate reality in whole, entirety, the idea of Purushottama, which has been spoken of in the Bhagavad Gita, that's very important. That as we are entering into the meditation chapter, the first two verses will speak of this this Karma Yoga, to make us convinced with the idea that Karma Yoga is not just a mere meant for purification. With purification, you attain a state where you transcend the dualities of life, and now, whether you are acting or not, nothing affects you. You are no more workaholic, that I need work to really keep my integrity. That also I don't need. I went to a state. If work is not there, well and good, I enjoy the tranquility. But if work is there, I don't avoid it. I engage in my action, but still I continue to be in the state of tranquility. That's contemplation in the world of action. That's what is the ideal of Bhagavad Gita. So in the last, that we find, if you take the reality in entirety, that yes, it is a consciousness which has become the world. It is because of ignorance it is being projected as the world. But the fact is, it is being projected as the world. I cannot simply deny it, that it doesn't exist. It do, that because of ignorance or whatever may be the reason, it has appeared as the world. So instead of seeing the world as world, if I see it as the Lord, it is the God who is appearing as the world, then what happens? Action need not stop. All the action may continue. But it becomes a worship. There need not be any watertight compartment between my religious life, spiritual life, and the secular life. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, because of our wrong understanding, what we think that before breakfast, whatever I do is pertains to my spiritual life. After breakfast, it is my worldly life. Why? That as per our Indian tradition, when you wake up in the morning, after your morning ablutions, you have a shower, and many have that practice. They have a small secluded portion in their house, that is the shrine. They will wear some fresh clothes, enter there and do certain practices. Light the incense stick, light the lamp, offer some flowers, offer some fruits, and then sit for meditation. And he feels very uplifted, very good. Now he comes, he changes his dress, wears his dress for the office, sits for the breakfast, and now again the entire world comes and enters, disturbing him. Sri Ramakrishna jokingly used to say a very nice thing, that they say that all your this sins flee you the moment you get down in the Ganges. That the water of Ganges is so purifying, the moment you get down, they all flee, you become pure. Then why the same person again go on doing all the wrong actions when he comes back from Ganga? So he very funnily used to say, the moment you are going to get down in the Ganga, all the sins in the form of the ghost, they will leave your body and just sit in the branch of a tree by the side of the Ganges. So you are now free of them. You have your dip, you come, and again they all enter. So that's our spirituality. So when I am in my meditation room, for the time being, most of everything has fled from me. Again, when I'm in my breakfast table, they come back. Why it has happened? Because there is a watertight compartment between the so-called spirituality and secular life. Why? Because the world is world for me. I don't see divinity there. If I could have seen that it is the world is nothing but the projection of the divine, then I would have taken the divinity in totality. It's a fact of life. And then all the interactions would have been just as worship. When the mother is feeding the child, he knows it is the God in the form of the child who has come in my life. I am feeding God. All the relations, everything becomes deified. So the world no more remains as the world, it becomes the projection of the divine. And Bhagavad Gita stresses that yajna ya acharate karma, in the second chapter. That yajna, when God created this world, he created with the idea of yajna. Yajna doesn't mean just the fire sacrifice. What it means? The idea of interdependence. In this world, nothing can just exist in seclusion of the entire world. Everything is a flow. Everything is interacting. Everything is interdependent. Know that and be a part of that. Give and take. Because that's what the divine has planned. So don't try to run away from life. So with that idea, if I sit for meditation, if I become an adept in meditation, then what happens? A very interesting thing, that nothing in the world can disturb you. You can maintain the tranquility in all states, whether you are resting, relaxing, or you are in the mad rush of this world. Nothing can disturb. You are above that. And then you become Yoga Rudha, the very third mantra of this 6th chapter, the 3rd sloka, that will speak of that. You become yoga, you become an adept in meditation. You start as a novice and you have become adept. So that's the goal. When you become an adept, then nothing can touch you. You can go on with your life. The others will think you as a normal person. But in the depth of your heart, you know that a wonderful surgical separation has happened. As Sri Ramakrishna used to say, you know what a realized soul is like? He is like a ripened coconut. A unripe coconut, it is almost impossible to separate the kernel from the shell. They are all intertwined. When the coconut gets ripened and you just shake it in your hand, you will find something is moving. The kernel has got separated from the shell. So Sri Ramakrishna is saying that's the state of an illumined person. He has realized that he is not the body, not the mind. His self is something separate from that. He says that's like that ripened coconut. So that's the state where nothing can disturb you. And the life goes on, nothing disturbs you. So that we have to keep in mind, that meditation is not for running away from life. Meditation is to transcend the dualities of life. I go to such a state, and that becomes the habitual state of my mind. As Sri Ramakrishna's words are very wonderful. He used to say, Je nachte jane tar betale pa poren. In Bengali he is saying, the one who is an adept dancer, his or her step will never fall out of rhythm. Now the one who is practicing, he is a novice, he or she has to be very much aware of the rhythm and be very particular, consciously, willfully, have to be practicing to put his or her step in the rhythm. Because he is just a novice, he is yet to become a skillful dancer. But when you will find he or she becomes an adept dancer, the music is being played, most probably he or she is teaching her students, instructing. The music is being played, and while instructing, she is also moving her steps. But you will find that though her entire attention is not on the steps, she is instructing the students, the steps are automatically falling in the rhythm. It never goes out of rhythm because she is an adept dancer. So the one who knows dancing, who has learned the dancing, her step will never be out of rhythm. So when you become adept in meditation, then the so-called conscience falls off. That they say, very interesting thing, that a realized soul is beyond dharma. What it means, that he can do all the unlawful things? No. He has become adept. His goodness has become something spontaneous. He need not have to consciously think what is right and what is wrong. Whatever he does, that becomes the ideal to be followed by the rest of the humanity. That's the sadhana. Shankaracharya very nicely has mentioned that what is spiritual practice? The spontaneous way of living of an illumined soul, when I try to imitate, that becomes sadhana. That's the thing. But for them it has become a spontaneity. So when you reach that state of spontaneity, you go beyond the duality. So with this introduction, now let us enter into the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So what it speaks of in the very first sloka, as we told, it starts with the idea of Karma Yoga, and then it will enter into the Dhyana Yoga. Just to highlight the fact, Karma Yoga is not something separate from Dhyana Yoga. They both are complementary. Dhyana is a part of karma. Unless a person has become adept in meditation, he can never be a karma yogi. Because to be a karma yogi, you have to be detached, you have to be tranquil even while you are acting. So these two are complementary. They form an integral part of each other. So what's the kriya? First he starts with that idea of karma yoga. Anasrita karma phalam karyam karma karotiya sasanyasi cha yogi cha niragnir na chakriya. So in the olden days, if you read the Vedas, the Karma Kanda, there is a prescription for so many yagyas, all the fire sacrifices. Many say that we have the idea that we are the worshipper of images, the pratima. But very interesting, the one who denounced the rituals, he himself first became the pratima. Many doesn't know the history of how the images came into our religion. We were all fire worshippers. In the Vedas, you will never find the idea of the deity worship. It's all fire sacrifice. So many yagyas. There we will find no mention. In the Vedas, there is no mention of this image worship. How it came? Buddha, when Buddha was born, he found this karma kanda so elaborate. The religion has become ritualistic, extremely ritualistic. People, in the name of ritual, has forgotten the real idea, the real principle behind these all rituals. So he denounced all the rituals altogether. Even the idea of soul, he denounced. Denounce means very interesting. He never told that there is no self. That's again a wrong idea. What he told is there is no self in the body. There is no self in the mind, in your thoughts, in your feelings. But there is no self. That you will never find. The very famous lecture of Buddha, the second lecture after his illumination. The first was the lecture on his four Arya Satya, that there is dukkha, and there is the tanha, the attachment is the cause of dukkha. There is a way out, and the eightfold path which I am prescribing is the prescription for going out. These are the four principles he told. And the second lecture was the called famous lecture of Anatma. So from that the idea came that Buddha never believed in Atma, self. And then what his idea was that everything is a flow, and that flow somehow gives the idea of a self behind it. To give an example, is called Alata Prakaran. Alata Prakaran. What's that? If you just move a torch very fast in your hand, so what you will see a ring of fire. The ring of fire is not there. The fast movement of the torch gives the illusion of the ring of the fire. So Buddha's philosophy in short, if we don't understand it properly, it speaks of that alata, that fire ring. That self is not there, everything is moving fast, the nature is moving fast, everything is a flow. Behind the flow, the appearance of something permanent is illusory. That is just like that fire ring. In one sentence, Swami Vivekananda is denouncing this entire argument. What he's saying is very interesting. He says, yes, we are seeing the fire ring, but someone is seeing the fire ring, isn't it? The fire ring is not there. Someone is deluded. It is not the correct thing. As out of illusion, someone is seeing the fire ring. Fire ring is not there. It is an illusion of someone. Someone is an observer, isn't it? So unless there is an observer, the fire ring is not there. So Swamiji is saying what Vedanta says is that the so-called the idea of self which we have is of course wrong. It's not correct. It's that idea of self which we have. But someone is deluded of that idea of that self. He is the real self. He is the observer. Without the observer, the firing is not there at all. So he is, in one word, he is saying in Buddhism, they never took the subject into account. They all tried to explain everything with the object, that the firing, that's the object. The subject, the one who is observing. So it's a very subtle way of discrimination. We leave out that. What Buddha actually, what he did, what I was saying, he was never spoke of self. If there is a very nice incident in the life of Buddha. Someone came and asked him, after going through his instructions, he was doubtful whether Buddha really believes in self or not. So he went and asked Buddha, is there something called the Atman? Buddha was silent, never answered. And then this person thought most probably Buddha doesn't believe in the self. So he told, oh, so you're silent. It means there is no self. Again Buddha was silent. He never replied. The man was frustrated. He got no reply. He left. Now Ananda, this disciple of Buddha, he was standing by the side of Buddha. Now he just asked Buddha that why don't you answer? Either say yes or no. So this man is totally dissatisfied. He left. Why don't you give any definite answer? And then what Buddha said is very interesting. There's two things. That can you explain the taste of mango to a person who have never tasted mango? Can you explain him? It's impossible. However, I may go on for years together. So knowledge is realization. It's not a concept. So when you speak of Atman, it is a concept. It's not a realization. So if I say it is yes, it means nothing. He has to realize that. So I never answer because I cannot relate. What I have realized, if you have not realized, language will fall short. Language only helps us to communicate when our fund of experience is same. I have tasted mango, you have tasted mango, I say it is sweet, it has a nice flavor, you realize, yes, it's correct. But if you have not tasted, you will make a sense which has nothing to do with the real taste of mango. Isn't a fact? So language helps only when we have same fund of experience. What Buddha has realized, if the entire world has not realized, and Buddha comes and speaks, there is such and such thing, what's the use of that? So he was silent for that reason, one reason. And second, what he told is very important, that I don't speak of Atman People think it to be the principle. It's not the principle. Why I am silent? Because I speak of the way by which each and every person can go to the realization. Till you go to the realization, the words are in no way going to help you. So I speak of the way, I never speak of the goal. And then the thing he told is very interesting, that I am pointing to the moon with the index finger. Everyone takes the index finger to be the moon. Okay, the way is mistaken as the principle. And then another example he gives is wonderful, that suppose you are passing through a forest and someone shots, you don't see him. Some arrow comes and pierces you, and that arrow was poisoned. Now what is your duty? Will you sit down and go on pondering who shot the arrow? Why he shot the arrow? What poison he have used? You will die in the process. Your first duty is somehow to get rid of the arrow and apply antidote and save yourself, isn't it? So what Buddha is saying, that how, whether it is Atman or Anatman, all those theories, from where I have came, I don't know, and I go on pondering over that how the perfect became imperfect. It is just like the arrow has pierced me, I'm trying to find out who has shot the arrow, why. Somehow it has happened, I don't know how it has happened. To be in the realm of the mind and to think of the domain which is beyond the mind is impossible. So but there is a way out. So this Ashtanga, in the previous two slokas what we were studying is the way out through meditation, through karma. There is a way out that will take you to the realization. Why not follow the path? Because simply discussing on something which is beyond our realization is not going to help us. So that's the idea we find even as we spoken of by all the spiritual, if you really read the scriptures between the lines, we will find there is no difference of opinion. I sometimes feel that all the divine incarnations tried in so many ways to bring home the idea of another dimension of our existence, but as we somehow can never relate to it, they failed in such a great way. When the incarnation speaks of God, we don't understand what God is. Buddha as an incarnation thought, okay, no one understands God, let me be silent about God. Let me not speak about it, whether he is or he is not. His silence again has been interpreted in 1,000 ways. Again that failure, same failure. So why this failure happens? Because we take the path as the principle. Speaking of the path, even Bhagavad Gita is speaking of the path, which will take us to that realization. So what's the path? It starts with this idea. Anasrita karma phalam karyam karma karotiya sa sannyasi cha yogi cha niragnir na cha akriyaha. The one. So as that, why the question of Buddha came? That when in the Vedic period, it was all fire sacrifice. And in all the fire sacrifice, you will find what it indicates. It speaks of some results. You do such and such yajna, it is called putreshti yajna. If you are having no son, you do it, you get son. You do such and such yoga, it will take you to the pitri loka. It will take you to the heaven. So all these yajnas were there with the idea of getting some result, that you attain heaven, which is eternity. So all these ideas were there with which these yajnas were done. Iha amutra. Some results you get here, like putrishti yajna, you get the result here. Amutra means hereafter, like swarga, that is hereafter. So all these yajnas were done with the result of attaining some result. So all the fire was related with what? With yajna, and that yajna speaks of these actions with desire. So what happened? Even in the Vedic period, we find a group of people got frustrated with it. That so much yajnas with the idea of attaining some result. What it has to do with our real self. So they simply renounced the idea we won't touch fire. We won't touch fire at all. So that way the question of yajna doesn't come. And akriya speaks of inaction. All the action speaks of what? That no one will be doing any action without any result. Action means, of course I'm doing action for getting some result. Even a fool won't resort to some action without knowing that he's going to gain. So all actions I can speak of getting some result. So a group of sannyasis developed. So Krishna did a synthesis actually. So this sannyasis what? That they thought spiritual life means renouncing all the fire sacrifices, renouncing all sorts of action, and to remain inactive. So here Bhagavan is making it very clear that renunciation is something within. From your mind, the renunciation should happen. The detachment should be in your mind. If I renounce physically, but in my mind I go on thinking of the objects of the senses. In the second chapter itself, Bhagavan has told it is mithyachara. Mithyachara sarchyate. It is a type of hypocrisy. Mithyachara in one sense means hypocrisy, in another sense means you are practicing something which is not going to yield any result. Mithya achara. It is not going to yield any result. So renunciation is within. So if action goes on, but I am detached, I know that I am an instrument in the hand of the divine. As Bhagavan will instruct Arjuna almost in the last of the Gita, that nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Become an instrument. No, it is God working through you. It's not you. This idea sometimes we think, I am doing so many things. How can it is God working through me? So Sri Ramakrishna gave a very simple example. The mother feels so much love for the child, doing so much for the child. But what's the wrong in it? The mother thinks she loves. Is it she who loves? If you really think of it, mother is helpless. She has been born in such a way, she has been programmed in such a way. What to speak of human? In any creature, can you find a mother who is not loving the child? The one who has created this universe, he has programmed the mother to sustain his creation with that love. That the mother feels that love for the child. Can she say that she has created that love? Her genes are altruistic. She is born as an empathetic person. That when the child is born, love automatically flows. From where that love came? I've been programmed that way. If I now think that this love which is in my heart, if the mother thinks that way, it is God who to sustain his creation has given that love in my heart to take care of God's creation. The entire thing changes. When the child rebukes the mother doesn't feel hurt. If I think it is I who am loving, the question of karta comes, the doer, it is I. And then if the moment you are karta, you have to be bhokta. You have to enjoy. And then all the suffering comes. If the result is not up to my expectation, the suffering comes. But if I know that God, to sustain his creation, has given that love in my heart, I do my best, and there my work ends. There my work ends. It's all God's creation. Because everyone has his own samskaras. When he is growing up, what he or she is going to be, even with all my good, these endeavors, my good expectations, it may be totally different. What I expect need not happen. I cannot project my desires into my child. He is bound to grow as per the inherent tendencies he or she has. If I water a mango plant, it is going to give nice mango. It is not going to give me jackfruit or any other pineapple. So sanskaras cannot be changed. He is going to grow in his own way. My part is to water. For watering, that love God has given me, that I am watering. How it will flourish, it is not in my hand. It is just the plan of the nature. I have done my part. So now what happens? Karma phala automatically falls off. I am not bothered about the result. I am happy that I have done my part. That God has taken care of his creation through me by implanting that love in my heart. Not only me. When I see a poor man, I feel like sympathy has welled up. I think, oh, I am a great person. That sympathy. Is really I am the one who am sympathizing? That outpour of sympathy, that daya comes, isn't something which automatically comes out from my heart? Isn't it that it is something already in my being? It has been implanted there. So if you take that way, that now they say that previously they used to say that our genes are selfish. Just now they have started saying it's just the contrary. It's just the opposite. Our genes are altruistic. Throughout the creation, there is synergy. Everyone is helping each other. Without that help, we all have a lot of limitations. And we cannot really sustain the struggle against the nature, the harshness of nature, without really synergizing each other. This is a win-win situation. And the genes are altruistic. These ideas are now changing. So that's the idea. This altruistic gene speaks of the Sahayagya Praja Srishtva. When God created, He created with that idea of yagya, that you have to contribute. You cannot be a seclusion from the entire creation and just selfishly hoarding. You have to give, and you, of course, you will receive. Give and take is the policy of the world. This give and take is the idea of yagya. With that we have been created. So when we have this idea, then with that idea, when I am doing actions, that becomes karma yoga. Then there is no question of expectation at each and every state for the results of action. That I am doing this, I have to get this. This idea falls off. So that seek not, avoid not. We constantly say that I have been placed in this life in a particular situation. I seek not, constantly go not, I don't go on just having ambitions after ambitions. Neither do I avoid. That whatever responsibilities I have been placed in, I take care of the responsibilities with the full ability, with the full capacity. So this is the idea, neither seek nor avoid. That's the idea of anasrita. That doing what, that's the without, anasrita means what? Without hankering for the results of action. Karma phalam, anasrita karma phalam. Without hankering for the results of actions, karyam karma karotiya. Thinking himself as the nimitta, as just an instrument in the hand of the divine. He goes on working. He is a real sannyasi. So the word sannyasi means samyak nyasa is sannyasa. Nyasa means renunciation. And before that, samyak. Samyak means in totality. Means renunciation cannot be a part-time affair. Just to jokingly, sometimes we give that example. If you go to Uttarakhand, Uttarakashi, Rishikesh, there are part-time sannyasis. Like in India, you know that there are, you get just one crop, one season. There are some places that only 4 months you cultivate your land in the monsoon. What to do rest of the year? Now they are not very rich, those farmers. They're quite poor. Whatever they yield, they sell in the market. Of course, that's over within 4 or 5 months. For the rest of the year, what they will do? Many of them will come to this Uttarakhand, this Uttarakashi, Rishikesh, where there are anna satras are there. For sadhus, for sannyasis, the rich people have donated a lot of money, and the sadhus every day go and get their food there. This is called satras, anna satras. It's there. So even I stayed for a few days in Uttarakashi. So there was no kitchen in the ashram there. Every day we used to go to this Annasatra, they will give you the food. Now, anyone wearing that ochre color cloth, now the people don't know that who is sadhu. So the one who are running that Annasatra, they're seeing the ochre color cloth, they will give. So there are many people that these farmers, those who just cultivate for 4 months, rest of the year what will do? They will come from the villages and they stay in small cottages there, kutiyas, with their family. They have their wife, children, everything, they are staying there. And just by the side of the door, in one hanger, there is some ochre color cloth. So just at the time of the meal, they will wear it and come and just have their bhiksha. So we call them as part-time sadhu, just for a few hours, they are the sadhu. So there cannot be part-time renunciation. If you have to renounce, it has to be total. So that's what's the meaning of the word sannyasi, samyak nyasa. So who is a real sannyasi? Not niragni or akriya. Who is not touching fire, not doing any work. Who is the real sannyasi? The one from whose mind the idea of hankering for the results has fallen off. That anasrita karma phalam. That I am just an instrument in the hand of the divine. Whatever position I have been placed in, whatever actions, whatever responsibility I am doing, God has placed me to take care of His creation in a particular way. I am doing it, and there it ends. I am not hankering after the result. When I am doing an action, I am always in present. I am not brooding of the past, what has happened, not anticipating of the future, expecting of the future, doing the thing with the full capacity, with full concentration. And that itself becomes a type of meditation, because I am fully focused. That's the idea of karma yoga which has been spoken of. So now you will find that though you are acting, it is a meditation. Meditation need not be just sitting down and closing your eyes, cutting off from the entire world. That alone is not meditation. That is of course meditation. But even when we are acting, we can be meditating if we are focused in the action. If I have no desire for the result of the action, you'll find it's a wonderful paradox that the more we think of the result, our actions gets affected. If what is going to happen in my job, constantly I am just worried about it, half of your mind is gone there. You cannot focus on your work gets affected. And if I'm not thinking of the future, I'm taking care of my work automatically will be something of high quality, and that will speak of my continuance with the work, because I become an asset. I'm no more a liability. And naturally, if you're really giving an output, that speaks of your integrity in your work. So the more I think of the result, the more my work gets affected. Sri Ramakrishna gives a very nice example. Two persons were playing chess, and the third person was observing. The one who was observing was again and again saying the correct move. The two players were desisting him. Don't say. Let us play. Don't disturb us. But he was again and again saying the correct move. So they all thought most probably the third person, who is the onlooker, he must be a very good chess player. So now the roles were changed. One of the players of the two who were playing, he became the onlooker, and the one who was the onlooker, he started playing. And now we found the one who was who was always saying the correct move, he started fumbling. He was not giving the correct move. So after this, Sri Ramakrishna says what? The one who is the onlooker, he has nothing to do with the winning or losing. He has nothing to do with that. His total mind is focused on the game. So he's saying the correct move. The moment you are playing, you are constantly thinking, am I going to lose? You are constantly expecting, am I have to win? Half of your mind is gone there. How can you play? It's as simple as that. So Karma Yoga speaks, that's the thing, that Karma Yoga doesn't speak of just desireless action. So that also, if you don't understand, we don't understand the scriptures and its corrections, what happened in India, we will find, oh, some work has to be done, I do it. I never think of perfection. Somehow it has been done. Because I am not bothered about the result somehow. No, that's not Karma Yoga. I do it perfectly with all my ability. Thinking means as the instrument of the divine. All the faculties which the divine has given me, I use them. If I don't use them, I don't believe in God. Just with one story, I will end today's discussion. These stories actually help. In school, I used to say that a believer in God, he always used to pray his Lord, Krishna. He had a beautiful image constantly, and everyone had an idea. He is a wonderful, a devotee of Krishna, always praying, always worshipping that image, offering flowers. And one day in the night, in the dead of the night in the village, there was a flash flood. The river, the dam on the river broke, and the water was flowing in. And at the night, as it has happened, all people were sleeping. A few villagers who were aware of it, they started waking up all. Wake up, quickly run with your belongings, because the village is going to be flooded in no time. So all were running. And this one man, who is a devotee of Krishna, he immediately went to his shrine, got hold of Krishna's feet, and he was incessantly praying to Krishna, "Oh Lord, save me, oh Lord, save me." So everyone told, that's not the way. Let's run now. It's not the time for prayer. So he told, you need not bother. I know my God is there always to save me. So I am here just depending on the Lord. Whatever you wish, you do. So the others thought there's no way we can convince him, so they all started running off. Now, after some time, the villagers felt that that they cannot simply run. The water is entering quite fast. So now somehow they arranged these four-wheelers, this powerful engine, four-stroke engine, so that they can, even if the water is a bit high, they can still manage to escape the village. So the four-wheelers came, those who were still remaining, they started running off. This man again was asked, please come up. No, my Krishna will save me. Now the water started, it was just knee deep when the four-wheelers came. Now it started increasing. It almost came to the level of the chest. And now they felt that maybe some still left in the village. So the speedboats were sent. Just go and save those who are still there, those who couldn't come out. So those who were still there, the few old people, for small children, they were all, just with the help of the speedboat, they were also taken to the safe distance. But this man again insisted, please don't disturb me, my Lord will save me. I know at last moment he will save me. Water went on increasing, it was almost up to the neck, and then almost entire village was evacuated. This one man was remaining, and to save him at last a helicopter came and just released a rope. Just now there is no more time, please hold it. Then also he was a great believer, he told no, don't bother, Lord will save me. And at last the flood really that washed him off. He was washed off by the currents of the water, he drowned and died. But after all, he's such a believer, he went to heaven. He went to Vaikuntha, and Krishna was sitting in the throne. He was just beside Krishna, just in front of him. Now he was full of grievance. That, oh Lord, you didn't save me. I had so much faith in you, and you didn't save me. And then Krishna's reply was wonderful. He told, it is just to save you. It's I who arranged all the four-wheelers. It is I who arranged that your speedboat. It is I who arranged the helicopter. You may say, how God has arranged? Yes, His miraculous power is there. And other way we can think, this just now we were discussing, that those who were sympathizing with the humanity and thought of sending the four-wheelers, who did it? The sympathy is God. So in whatever way you may think, God arranged. So He's saying, I have arranged so many things, but you didn't avail anything. So what can I do? So the idea is, even as a human being, we have that love in our heart, we have our intelligence. All these things are gifted by God. It's not the things which I say I have. As a child, I was born with that intelligence. I was born with that faculty of focus, certain skills. All those things God has given. I don't believe in them and I just simply pray, God, God, God. How can God help me? So that's why Swamiji very nicely used to say, faith, faith, faith in yourself, faith in God. And then the next line is very important. If you have faith in all the 33 million gods and in all the gods which the foreigners have brought in our midst and still have no faith in yourself, there is no salvation for you. Because if you have no faith in yourself, you cannot have faith in God. Because all those faculties are the gift of God. The mother, the love she feels for the child is the gift of God. Have faith in that. With that, do the karma yoga. Without expecting any result. That I am an instrument in the hand of God. He has given me all these faculties. I use to the best of my ability. Not just casually I do the work because I don't want the result. So I've just done it anyway. No. With the best of my, with the full capacity I do. And then I live out the result. So that's the idea of seek not, avoid not. That's the idea of karma yoga. And that's been spoken of in the very first sloka of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Anasrita karma phalam karyam karma karotiya. Sa sannyasi, he is a real sannyasi. So not the one who has just physically renounced the fire sacrifice or the fire. That the sadhus goes out for bhiksha. They won't, if you give them rice, they won't accept, the traditional sadhus. You have to give them some cooked food. You know why? This niragni. The idea is still there that I won't touch fire. The sadhus won't touch fire. So he cannot cook. What to speak of this yajna? He cannot even cook. So that's why the idea of this bhiksha. I go out and have only cooked food as bhiksha. You may give him some puffed rice. That he will take because that need not be cooked. But if you just give rice which has to be cooked, he won't take. He will say, no, give me something which I need not have to cook. So why? Because he won't touch fire. So now Bhagavan has now still that practice is going on. But Bhagavan Krishna has already indicated in the Bhagavad Gita. It is not the one who doesn't touch fire, niragni, or the one who leads a lazy life by not doing any action. No, he is not a sannyasi. The one who does action without desiring for the results, hankering for the results, with a proper attitude as a divine worker, he alone is a real sannyasi. So with this, the sixth chapter, the chapter of meditation starts. And this itself speaks of meditation. Because if you can doing work that way, you are enjoying contemplation even in the world of action. You are walking your talk and you are meditating even while you are working. So with this, we start this chapter. We'll continue. We thought that this chapter needs a background. That's why we just gave that a quite elaborate introduction before entering into the discussion. So, and then from the next class onwards, we will follow the sloka by sloka and have its explanation. With this, we stop our discussion today. Can I take a few minutes? Today, we have just, I was thought of actually stopping the class a bit early. Let me just conclude the class. I have just something to announce.